loop.
And
Sorry,
here we are.
looking at my loop.
All right.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Leighton's Loft. Thanks for tuning in today, collectors and friends. We have an interesting episode. As you saw me scrambling, what I potentially, I don't think I've lost it. I've simply misplaced it, but it's a very valuable tool as a baseball card treasure hunter, and it is my loop. I used it. I think it's up front. I used it this morning because someone came in, and it's actually one of the subjects we're going to cover on today's show. It's interesting. So, folks, the National is less than 60 days away. Please make sure you are getting yourself ready. So that could mean making dinner reservations. That could be making plans with friends. That could mean getting rid of some cards through selling them outright for cash to some fellow like me, or consigning them to an eBay consignment guy like Probstein, or consigning stuff to REA or Golden or Heritage, or getting a cash advance from places that do consignments so that you can have some of that money for the National. Thanks to everyone who's stopping by here and saying hi. What's going on, Preston? And let's see here if I can see the chat. Oh, you know what? I can't see it on my phone.
Okay.
But what's up, Chris, Dennis, Daniel Lynch, Cuff Daddy? Appreciate you tuning in today. What up, Mike?
Yep, the whole gang's here.
Yeah. So first place we're going to start, other than my announcement just about the National, make sure you're doing your homework, getting yourself prepped, is I had someone reach out to me on IG the other day. It was my Just Collect account. For those that don't follow me, it is, or follow us, it is Just Collect, all one word, on Instagram. It's an account we started only about a year ago. Really, most of my Instagram activity does take place through my Leighton_Sheldon Instagram account. But you can imagine we are trying to promote our store and get traffic here and all that kind of good stuff. So, we try to utilize, gang, the store Instagram account when we can to try to generate, folks to come down here. So I had someone reach out on Instagram, and in terms of, not much into wrestling. Iron Sheik passed away. So sad.
I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. Very sad.
Takes me back to my childhood Saturday mornings.
Yeah. Speaking of sad, only because I just had lunch with a buddy of mine, and we were reminiscing about a particular dealer that we knew. But his name is Justin, and I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but I believe it was Morrill. He was involved in cards and autographs, and he's a young man, late 40s, 50s, living in Texas. And unfortunately, his family, just lost him very recently. It's really a shame, of course, for his family, but for the card collecting and autograph community. My buddy I had lunch with said about Justin that he just kind of got it. There's people that you do business with, and even though you do business, whether it be you buy or sell or trade, you don't walk away necessarily with the warm and fuzzies. And Justin always had a smile on his face, and he was really a joy to be around. So he'll be sorely missed.
No, I'm sorry to hear.
So getting back to Instagram, and some of you, this may be very much like, hey, I already know this, Leighton. So if you do, kudos to you. I'm really doing this because I give the person credit, and I'm not sure everyone really understands the rules of eBay. So in a nutshell, I'll explain to you kind of the scoop. So someone hit me up on eBay. It's probably the nicest example of a T205 Chris Speaker in a 3 that I've seen or had.
Nice.
So this is in our eBay store. And, if you know much about the T205 gold border set, Lou, anywhere that you're going to see or that is there and present will be very obvious with the gold borders, of course.
Right. Yeah.
So, this card I've been asked a lot about, does it have creases, have this? And, I can't see anything directly, but it does have the honest corner wear. It looks like it almost could be like a VG plus card. Maybe it's a little bit harshly graded VG. Oh, you know what? I see there's actually a very small, I wasn't even looking at the light. There's a very small wrinkle where this finger is. But nonetheless, it's definitely not overgraded. That's for sure. And if anything, it's had undergraded, could be a 3.5, maybe a 4. So what this individual did versus what other people do, I want to share with you. So if I have this card on eBay and someone writes to me on eBay, hey, what's the best you can do? What's up, Chris Co? The back is very clean. It's a really nice T205. So if you write someone on eBay and you're asking them the best they can do on a card, they'll likely send you back. There's a function on eBay, Lou, where you send them back an offer. What up, Stephen G? And so, you'll normally do that. And whether it be the person buys it or not, maybe they'll continue to negotiate. But on occasion, of course, sometimes people will ask you, will you sell it offline? Can I come to your
Yeah.
store or meet you at a local diner and pay you in cash?
Yep.
And although all of those things sound really well and good, something that you may not know as, let's say, a passive eBay user or a part-time eBay user is that eBay not only highly frowns upon that,
I would imagine.
but if you get caught doing that, you can literally have your account suspended and or maybe thrown off. So you can imagine for the few points I might save on any one card,
Right.
I'm not going to risk that. So people will ask me through messaging on eBay. Once again, if you're asking me my best price, I'm happy to provide it for you through eBay. But if you're asking me to have a transaction outside eBay, I'm passing on replying to you, not because I think you're scamming, but because I know eBay has bots and they'll monitor what I'm writing, and I'll get a message inevitably warning me, but there's only so many warnings they'll give, and then they'll just suspend you. So the point being, if you write someone on eBay as a casual user, you might think like this guy's kind of being douchey. He's not writing back to me.
Yeah.
But if the user is well educated and aware of the rules and the ins and outs of eBay, they're simply probably just trying to not get themselves in trouble. So what I really like what this individual collector did, and by the way, I had my thread with him, meaning my messaging. I wouldn't have sold this card to him. Now, granted, I have no recourse if he decides to sell it. But I asked him if he was going to keep it or flip it.
Yep.
And he answered he was going to keep it, or he wasn't sure what I meant. And so he asked me for another $100 off. And even though I didn't really want to do it, I felt like it was going to a good home. And it's such a beautiful card.
Yep.
And if I wasn't a T205 and a card snob, I would have kept this as the T205 speaker in my collection. But I'm kind of looking for a 6. For some reason, that's the grade I have in my head. But this is certainly a great placeholder. And so I'm already missing it as it is. And actually, I'd undo the transaction if you let me, but I think he'd be upset. Anyway, what this individual did is he dropped me a note on IG. And he said as follows. Hey, I saw you have this card. I think you're the same seller. I'm interested. Can you do any better? But now we don't have the friction of doing it on eBay and having the eBay police, if you will, monitoring what we do.
Yep.
So we worked out a deal. I simply took it down because it's no longer available, which is true. And I sold it to him, and I feel very good about not sending the messaging through eBay. And to be fair, I didn't solicit him. He solicited me. I wasn't trying to save fees, but he clearly, and I respect this about true collectors, Lou. Listen, this is a big purchase for this gentleman, no doubt. It's not a huge sale, but it's about $1,000. And for him to save $50 or $75 or $100, my guess or the feeling I got through our interaction, he's simply going to use that money he's saving on yet another card.
Right. Yeah.
It's really hard to get mad at folks. Like, it's one thing if guys like, I can't pay you because my dog ate my homework. I'm pissed off.
Yep.
But when you find out he's keeping it, he's asking the right questions. I felt good about the card going to a nice home.
Well, again, just collecting vintage breaks is beyond transactional. There's a lot of relationships involved there, and you want to continue the relationships going forward. Mike asks if eBay monitors the messages from buyer and seller. I would assume that there are bots that are looking for phrases.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, Lou. So it's not humans, but it is bots.
No. Yep.
And so you can imagine things like best price. Will you sell it off eBay?
Yep.
These are very much, I'm sure, in the line of like what they're able to keep an eye out for.
By the way, say hi to Jennifer. Dennis's wife is joining us today.
Oh, hi, Jennifer. How are you? Appreciate you tuning in. I'm curious if you're a collector yourself, or are you simply trying to help Dennis make sure he's spending his money wisely? Either way, I respect it. Thanks for tuning in, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I got that point across.
Have you ever had any problems with that? Because it's perfectly reasonable. I mean, the bots wouldn't care one way or the other, but it's perfectly reasonable that a guy would see it's from you, and if he's within distance of your shop, to come into the shop and look for the card.
Yes, and I got another hack, and I'm going to actually do this as a reel on Instagram, so that's how this started. I was going to share the info on Instagram, like, oh, well, why wouldn't I share it with my direct community? I think this is valuable information. So another thing that is like kind of a hack or like a tip, I guess, that especially if you're known. Now, you don't have to necessarily be a known card dealer. You could just be a known collector.
Yep.
Or known as someone who like has a niche like our buddy Drake, with wrestling cards. Like if he wrote Regards Drake, people would not think he was probably the singer buying wrestling cards. They would think he was Drake, the guy who collects wrestling. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'll write to people on eBay. I often don't use my name. I'll say regards John, because I just don't want to, have a whole thing, and it's easier. But if I want someone to maybe reach out to me offline, I'll write regards Leighton, just collect.
Yep.
And they'll find me. They have their way.
Just be smart. Yeah.
It works both ways, meaning it's not just if you're selling, but if you're trying to buy something from someone and you write to them, hey, do you have any flexibility? What often will happen is either, no, I have no flexibility, and they can't write because they're smart enough to know that they can't write, oh, I have some off of eBay. But if you write regards and they know how to find you, well, inevitably I'll have an email somehow show up, or an Instagram message show up in the next 24 hours letting me know, by the way, Late, if we do it off eBay, I can sell for X.
Right.
Great. Just saved my company $165. Sounds like I'm having lobster tonight.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, speaking of it, so we had a pretty healthy lunch today, delicious one. We got stuff from there's a fresh seafood store, Freeman's Fish Company, right around the corner in the next town. So today, my buddy came in for lunch. Instead of going out, we shared tuna salad and lobster salad. It was delicious.
Oh, is that Jersey lobster or Maine lobster, or what is it?
Here's the thing, Lou. Even if you said one or the other, it's so good, it doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter, right? Excellent.
Oh, that's cool. So Jennifer likes vintage baseball, but her husband Dennis have a collection together. Interesting.
I like it.
Well, in case anything goes down, I'll side with the team that has pre-war. Just kidding. That might have been a bad joke, Jennifer. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you find today's information useful. Speaking of which, and this is kind of like the main thing I want to talk about in today's show. So a really good buddy of mine came in earlier today, bought a really big hockey collection recently.
Oh.
And he had, I want to make sure I count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 6 cards that are all really great cards. I believe they're rookie, I don't want to misquote. Yep, the Rookie Hall of Fame hockey, but like some, rare stuff, cool stuff.
Yep.
I don't want to make it too bright here, but I want to make sure the team, everyone can see the cards well, Lou. So he had all 6 cards in his collection. Yep, Tom, you're going to like this. If you like hockey, this is a good episode for you.
Yep.
So he asked me if I could look at, Lou, the 6 cards he already had in this collection. And then there's the same 6 cards, same grade, but obviously different card, different eye appeal.
Yep.
There's 6 cards in the collection he just bought for, by the way, over 6 figures.
Oh, wow.
And so, wow. I felt flattered. He wanted my opinion along the whole way of the deal. But furthermore, he wanted to get my opinion on these 6 cards. And I was like, you need me to help you figure out which is the better of the two? And he said, yeah. And I said, sure. I mean, if you value my opinion that much. And so it was interesting. And if he's watching or if he watches it on playback, he'll know, because this just happened today. This is all 100% kosher and happened earlier today. I wouldn't say I thought it was a joke, but I listen, I know I'm good at what I do, but I don't walk around with like a gold chain that says, baseball card treasure hunter, I'm a pro.
Yeah.
Or like, world's best baseball card treasure hunter eyes or anything like that. So when he asked me for my opinion, sure, I'm flattered. I think I'm good at what I do. I just didn't think there was as much value in it as he saw.
Oh, sure.
So get this. I start going through the 6 cards. There's no cat. We should have videoed it. It would have been great content. It really would have been.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all you want me to do is just tell you which one I think is better. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll do one better for you. I'll tell you why I think the one's better.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, I would love it if you would do that. Sure. So we're going through one card at a time. Remember, there's only 6, so it didn't take that long.
Yep.
And then we hit one of them, which I'll save it for the end so I don't do it out of order. Yeah, it's in the good order. He's like, wow, you could see that? And I'm like, we'll call him Jay. Jay, you're fucking with me, right? And I'm not like, I'm not trying to sound pompous. I'm like, I just see it for what it is. We weren't even under the good light. We were out front, natural light. And I think just what happens, like, it's if you're a doctor, right? If you're in trading card therapy, by the way, if you want to tune in tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time will be a good episode. That's where, I portray myself as a doctor for my 30 minutes a week. But in terms of experience, it really became very evident to me this morning. I certainly didn't need the 6 card example, but listen, when you go in to see your doctor, Why is it that in like 3 minutes they could diagnose you for most regular things? It's because of experience.
Right. They know what they're
So
doing.
it dawned on me that as much as he's an astute collector, very smart individual. He's got a couple shekels in his pocket, which is why I was able to buy this collection. He's very smart about it. Might sell off a few pieces so that way kind of, bring the cost basis down of the collection. And yet we got to these 6 cards, and it made me feel good that I was able to help him, but it also made me feel great that, wow, I am pretty good at what I do. The expertise has come from the experience of doing a lot of reps over time. So without further ado, Lou and gang, I'm going to show you these 6 cards. Now, by the way, I'm actually going to show you 12 cards because I'm going to show you the 6 cards that he's going to keep versus the 6 cards he's going to potentially sell now.
Okay.
So we're not doing this on the regular camera, so I apologize. Okay. This is a Daryl Sittler rookie. Very cool card. 1970 O-Pee-Chee. Really tough to find in high grade. PSA 9. Well, where I'm holding this one finger, you can see just above it, there's an issue with the surface.
Okay.
No reason to get into it further. I'll try to bring it closer to the screen. If you can see that, Lou, can you see that?
A little bit. Yeah. It looks
that
like
little mark.
A little mark there. Yeah.
So here's the example that my friend's going to keep. So centering very similar, but to me was very easy after I identified the centering being similar, eye appeal, meaning as far as the color being similar. I'm like, listen, with the naked eye, I saw a surface issue on the other example. I'm like, you got to keep this one.
And yet they're both mint 9s, right?
They're both mint 9s.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind, I didn't ask him, like, did you see it before? I treated everything very matter-of-factly, right? I mean, this is a buddy of mine. Yes, we do a little bit of business, but not a lot. And I'm really just happy to help him. And I'm flattered he wants my help, I'm like, I'm just a nerd. Why would he need my opinion about a few cards? He could just look at it himself. So we get to the next card. Excuse me.
That mark seems significant, though, which just kind of surprises me that they're sitting at the same grade.
That's for a different episode.
Yeah.
Because I got to end sharply like 1:59, 2 o'clock today. So keep an eye, if not a minute or two earlier. Mm-hmm. And so next up is a Bobby Clark rookie, which is an awesome card.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, if I still have him Saturday, I'm going to bring him on the show. It's great. Actually, I'll ask my buddy if he'll let me do that. So here's a Bobby Clark rookie. By the way, very nice card.
Yep.
But as you can see, and this is very common with 70 O-Pee-Chees because of how they were stacked, meaning sitting around. On the right, the right-hand border, you can see that blue is a little bit along the edge. I don't know how evident it is because today's camera is not so great.
Yeah, not really, but yeah.
So the other card was fairly well centered also, but the blue on this card was much less significant. And so when I showed
blue is bleeding into the border a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I pointed out the difference and I showed him side by side, he was able to see it very clearly. Mm-hmm. So keep in mind with this exercise, gang, each card I'm showing you, there's 2 examples. My friend's keeping one for his collection. He's selling off the other one. Mm-hmm. The one he's keeping is going to be in the plastic. The one he's going to get rid of is going to be the one that's not in the sleeve. So I'm generally starting off with the one he's going to get rid of, and I'm doing this just because of time. And so I did this morning, so I'm just making sure I can see. So I think this one was color. It's interesting. I have better light here now. And I think natural light sometimes, it goes to show you, is really good for cards.
Yeah.
This might have been the centering. Oh, yeah. So there was the centering and then the actual. Yep. So it's where right here. So this first example is a really gorgeous 1971 O-Pee-Chee LaFleur PSA 9. This might be one of those where it's going to be tough for you to see, gang, why he passed on this one.
Don't even tell me what's that worth.
Yeah, the centering and the color on this one is just a bit better. You actually can see the color. I see the difference.
Yep.
The color is definitely better on this one. The centering was a drop better. That's why he's going to keep this Guy LaFleur rookie PSA 9.
I had so many of those 71s.
Really?
Oh,
I don't want to. 71 O-Pee-Chee is fantastic.
I think it was Phil Esposito in his pants. He had plaid pants on under his jersey. They did wear clothes under the jersey. It's funny.
Okay, so this one I remember. Yep. So this one, it was the centering was very similar. Okay, great. So the next up is a Marcel Dion, 71 O-Pee-Chee rookie PSA 9. Probably not going to be able to see it from here, but in the upper right corner, there is just a hint of wear that I saw with the naked eye, and then under magnification, you can see it a little bit more clearly. So the centering and the eye appeal on the rest of the card was similar to the one he's going to keep, but because the corners on this one were just a tad cleaner, he was able to see, once again, the difference, so he's electing to keep this one.
Are those rookies? Marcel
Yes,
Dion,
these are all Hall of Fame rookies, Lou.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so next up, and this one's very interesting. This is the one where he went like, wow. So if you ever have him on the show, he can tell you in his own words. So here's a former Bruin Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Chief.
Right?
Yep.
And although it's a PSA 8 and it's a really cool card, decent centering for an 8. Actually, similar centering to the one we're going to keep. Left to right, the one we're going to keep is better centering. The top to bottom is probably a smidge better on this example. And so on this example, when I looked at it out there, along the left-hand border, you can see remnants of the red background. And so it looks kind of funky. I don't know how well you can see it from your screen, but in person, you can definitely see it. So when you look at the example that we're going to keep, stronger centering left to right, a little bit better of a red, and no red along that edge was very obvious to him. And he said, like, wow. And it made me feel pretty good, Lou, because I felt like up until that 5th card, even though I was doing my job and doing what he asked me to do, I wasn't getting paid for it. But just as a friend, really was able to see the value I was able to bring him.
Yeah, and not everyone has the sophisticated palate that you have, so probably a big help to him.
So the last one is, and this one's probably the most interesting and maybe the most controversial. So he has 2 gorgeous. You're going to appreciate this, Lou. That's why we finished with this last. Ray Bork, one of the greatest Bruins of all time, rookie Hall of Fame, PSA 9. And at first glance, great example, very strong centering. It was something about, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the card, but to me, even before seeing the other example that he had to show me, it seemed a little bit of small. And I'm familiar with 1980 O-Pee-Chee. I thought it should have a little bit of a rougher cut, this PSA 9. So lo and behold, Lou, I look at this card, and this card in the holder looks a lot more full than this card. And you may not be able to see that from the screen, but I could in person, and I showed it to him.
Wow.
And I said, furthermore, the card appears to have the natural Pee-Chee cut that you're looking for. So it was very obvious to me. I'm not saying the card is trimmed, but to me, the card looks a smidge small. And, it's kind of crazy. Like, how do you see a 16th of an inch or even a 32nd of an inch? I'm not saying I could use it with my bare hands, but I've handled so many cards.
Yeah.
Like my photographic or the memory that's burned in my from the photos I've seen over the years.
Yeah.
Is that this example clearly I thought was inferior to this example.
Oh, sure. You can just feel it, right?
Yep. So I went with that. And with that note, those were the 6 cards that my really good buddy asked me to assess for him. And I felt pretty good afterwards. I'm like, I could have charged him, some money for this, and it wouldn't have felt like I was ripping anyone off. But the joking aside, I really know that he appreciated it, and I was happy to share with him my expertise.
How similar those all look would be useful for everybody to just get more sophisticated in terms of what to look for with the cards.
Yeah, I think I might do a YouTube video on this. I'm certainly going to do an IG reel of some kind. Lou, what time do you have?
James and Dennis are giving you the time check, so.
All right, great. Well,
doing my job. It's time.
It was about that time. I appreciate it. Lastly, we're going to show everyone up for grabs today. In first place for Leighton's Loft is a 66 Topps leader card featuring 3 Hall of Famers. 67 leader card, Hank Aaron Clemente and Dick Allen. Second place will be a $25 break credit in our big event ending this Sunday. And third place will be a 1973 Topps baseball set break spot, Lou.
73 Topps set break start. Okay, and Mike, I'm going to put your name on here. Apparently I left Mike Pitt's name off last week, so
No problem at all.
it's first on the list this week.
Really appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in today. If you haven't already, please make sure you follow Leighton's Loft on Facebook so you'll get all of the notifications for our future content. Thanks, everybody.